Did someone try to take you from mommy?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, 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 what are you doing? What are you doing? And I got him back, and then he just stared at me and then goes, oh, I just wanted to get him out of your lap so you could get up and help me. Which was weird. That didn't make any sense.
So it turns out that this mother lied about everything. She claimed this man tried to kidnap her 2-year-old son at Walmart. He was arrested and put in jail. So basically on March 18th, Mahendra Patel went to Walmart to get some Tylenol. He couldn't find the aisle, so he approached this woman named Caroline Miller and asked for help. But after their interaction, she called police and claimed that he tried to kidnap her 2-year-old son and then he fled. The surveillance footage shows zero proof of that, but yet 3 days later, police went to his house and arrested him. Mahendra was charged with attempted kidnapping, assault, battery, and was held without bond. When the surveillance footage was released to the public, everyone was really upset that this innocent man was put in jail for something he clearly didn't do. He was finally granted a $10,000 bond and was released after 49 days. This woman, I don't know what her intentions were or what the point of this really was, but she has not been charged at the moment, but I really hope that she has some serious consequences, because to try to ruin someone's life for absolutely no reason is crazy. Also, why wasn't the surveillance footage reviewed before arresting this man?
1 in a Million, Part 1. In 1984, Michael Jackson's hair caught fire during the filming of a Pepsi commercial, a moment that marked the beginning of his long struggle with pain and prescription drugs. Eerily, that day, January 27, 1984, was the exact midpoint of his life. 9,282 days after he was born and 9,282 days before he died. In 2013, a vet clinic in Ohio discovered a turtle with the word God naturally spelled out across its shell. In 1989, a Soviet jet fighter pilot mistakenly ejected just after takeoff from Poland. The aircraft continued flying for more than 500 miles on autopilot and ended up all the way in Belgium, only to crash into a house, killing an unlucky teenager. In 2012, a British man bought 5 amateur paintings for a mere $5 at a Las Vegas garage sale. When he decided to reframe one of them, he found a piece of paper behind it that turned out to contain an original sketch by Andy Warhol. His signature was also etched into the back, giving it a value of at least $2 million. On November 26, 2012, something happened for the first and only time in the history of New York City. For the entire day, there was not one single report of a violent crime. In 1957, a woman attending a Phillies game was hit with a foul ball that broke her nose. The game was briefly paused, then resumed once the woman was put on a stretcher. As they carried her away, the very next pitch was fouled off and hit the same woman, breaking a bone in her knee.
This is the most disturbing Japanese serial killer that you've never learned about.
This is Tosomo Mayuzaki, and this is his real hand.
If his name is hard to pronounce for you, don't worry about it. You can call him his nickname, the Human Dracula. Now, the reason you might not have heard about this case is because the details of this case are so disturbing that Japanese media tried to hide this. From 1988 to 1989, he was convicted of abducting, murdering, and mutilating young girls from the ages of 4 to 7. The way he would do this is he would drive to a local park or maybe even a playground, and he would have a friendly conversation with these young girls so that way they'd be able to trust him. The second they were able to trust him, he would then lure them into his car by saying, hey, I'll give you a ride somewhere. Once the child would get in his car, he would then strangle them and then mutilate their bodies. As if this isn't the worst part, he would collect their hands as trophies, he would grind up their bones into a powder, put it inside of a package, and mail it to the victims' families. The reason he did this is he enjoyed taunting the victims' families by basically saying, you're never gonna catch me.
He would also drink their blood and even eat the hands. But boy was he wrong, because in 1989, he was literally caught in the act of trying to pick up a little girl. He was arrested and put on trial, and he never took accountability for what he did. He had no remorse, and he kept blaming it for his alter ego. He was eventually executed in 2008, and this is why your parents tell you to never trust strangers. There are so many disturbing cases in Japan, but Japan doesn't like people to know about them because they try and keep everything really discreet. They basically don't want the public to freak out about all of these cases, but if you want to know the real deal secrets behind Japan, make sure to hit the like and follow button, and I'll explain them some in in the next video.
Have you guys seen this video that's gone viral of this woman getting sucked into the ocean while walking on the beach with her boyfriend? So this happened on June 16th in the city of Sochi in Russia when this 20-year-old woman was walking on the beach with her boyfriend when these huge waves began hitting them. At first, it didn't seem too serious and they probably didn't feel threatened, but after a while, the waves got bigger and stronger. This poor woman is then seen being swept into the ocean while her boyfriend was able to run out. He then tries to find her, but at this point, it seems like it's too late. What's crazy is that this was all caught on camera and it was reported that after 3 days, she still wasn't found. This is so tragic and sad, and it's a reminder that the ocean can be unpredictable and dangerous.
There's this psychological idea that you should probably know about because it applies to all humans that aren't aware of it, called the illusory truth effect. And it basically states that you can get the edge on somebody's entire belief system as long as you tell them something first. So if you go and tell somebody and go on about how bad a movie is, and then they go and hear somebody say like, oh, the movie's actually pretty good, they're just going to focus on the bad. Same if you go and tell somebody like, oh, this restaurant is really good, and then somebody else says that it's bad. They're just going to focus on the good because that's what they heard first. It's literally the idea that you will believe the first thing that you hear. Little extra fun fact, this is actually the entire idea behind conservatism and traditional values. I wish you luck with this new piece of information.
This is one of the saddest stories I've ever heard. This is Mary Ann Beavenon. The world labeled her as the ugliest woman in the world. But no one ever stopped to ask who she really was. She was just a mother, fighting to survive. Mary was once a nurse in England. She was a beautiful woman, but everything changed after her husband, Thomas Beavenon, died in 1914. Soon after, she began to show signs of a rare condition called acromegaly, a disorder that caused her face and body to grow and distort painfully. People were staring at her all the time. Even the doctors weren't able to help. She had no money, she had no help, and she had to feed 4 of her children. Mary entered a contest, the ugliest woman in the world contest, and she won. Not out of pride, out of necessity. After that, she joined a circus to make some money. She stood on stage and she was laughed at. She was mocked, but she held it in. She endured it, all of it, because all the money she made went to her children. Mary endured cruelty for her children's future. Mary Ann Beavenon was never ugly. She was brave, and her sacrifice was the most beautiful thing about her.
Ionized yeast presents Light Out.
Here's what would happen if you got swallowed by a whale. The blue whale is the largest animal on the planet, with its tongue weighing as much as an elephant. However, you shouldn't be worried about a blue whale because it's almost impossible for them to swallow a human, but you should be worried about the sperm whale. The first thing that would happen is you would be shredded by its razor-sharp teeth, which are each as big as a kitchen knife. But let's say you're lucky enough to make it past all 50 of the whale's teeth. You'll now move down the whale's throat and find it hard to breathe due to a lack of oxygen. Then you would feel hydrochloric acid eat away at your skin. After this, you will drop into the first of 4 of the whale's stomachs, and you might even see a bioluminescent squid like this. But as you go from stomach to stomach to stomach, the hydrochloric acid will break down your skin, turning you into a skeleton.
This is why you should be scared of mirrors. Reddit user Liberated Man said that when he was about 12 years old, he woke up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. He walked across the hall to the bathroom, hit the lights, and was about to reach for the toilet when he glanced up and saw a face in the mirror. It wasn't his face. He said that it was as if someone was on the other side, standing to the right, with their face right next to the glass, staring at him. He only saw it for the briefest moment, but it seared into his brain. He screamed and ran out to find his dad. His dad, of course, investigated and then calmed him down, or tried to. They had a prayer session because he was so freaked out. Eventually, he went back to sleep. He said that fast forward to his 30s, he had forgotten all about the event, until one night, while visiting his dad quietly brings it up. He said, "Remember that one time you saw a face in the mirror?" It suddenly came back to him in a rush of a memory, sending a chill down his spine. He said, "Yeah, I remember." And then his dad said, "Well, sometimes I think about that night." He looked down at the floor with a serious expression, and then he said, "I saw it too." He went on to describe exactly what Reddit user Liberated Man had seen. Neither of them have any idea what it was. Apparently, when his dad went to investigate, he saw it and had a freak out of his own. And the prayer session was as much for his own nerves as it was his son's.
These are some of the creepiest real clowns throughout history. Number 1 is Bozo the Clown. It's commonly thought that Bozo is considered kind of the prototype of most 20th century clowns. Hugely popular with audiences throughout the 60s, but eventually walked this line where younger audiences couldn't decide, is he funny or is he disturbing? Number 2 is John Wayne Gacy. Gacy is infamously known for the horrific nature of his crimes, where he accumulated more than 20 victims. But the clown character he would do, I think, is the eerie component to this story and why people remember it, because behind all of this makeup and these costumes, he was doing unspeakable things. Number 3 is Wrinkles the Clown. If you don't know the story behind Wrinkles, he is an unknown man from Florida who you can call anytime, anywhere, and he will come dressed as Wrinkles and terrify whoever you want. The creepiest part about him is that he will go as far as to hide within a home to scare people.
Oh no. No, 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 silly, to dry it. But it exploded, and they were both found dead.
The past 24 hours, this dark web website has gone absolutely insane. As you can see, I'm on the dark web, and we are on what's called the Hidden Wiki. They have everything from financial services to that one, privacy services, emails, hacking. But today I found something that is absolutely worth sharing. USA Citizenship, and if we click the link, you can become a US citizen for like $1,500. Become a citizen of the USA, real USA passport. We offer bulletproof USA passports, social security numbers, driver's license, and birth certificate, and other papers making you an official citizen of the USA. It asks, how do we do it? And it says trade secret, but we can assure you that you won't have any problems getting our papers. It even goes as far as saying you can use your own name or a new name, and information on how to send us your required information. Scanned signature, biometric picture, and etc. will be given after purchase. Now the total price you can see is $4,000, but it looks like your first payment is only $1,500. I was born in the US. However, I'm a little bit tempted to buy it and see exactly how these people do it. Now this is a big goal, but 300,000 likes and I'll do it. That's final. And if I go to jail, somebody to bail me out. Make sure to like and follow.
I had a nightmare about King Kong last night, so I'm gonna make that everyone else's problem. This is an animatronic. The video at the end is terrifying, by the way. You can skip and watch it if you want. This video is gonna contain a bunch of different King Kong animatronics, but this is the absolute worst one. It is on the Universal Studios ride Kong Island. Kong Skull Island, wow. And like you go on this little tram and bro looks at you through it and he looks really mad. He looks like you just hit on his girl. He looks mad. This is kind of a duplicate of it and look how big it is in comparison to bro. Also, here's another King Kong animatronic used for the movie back in the day, and all of these animatronic parts, sickening. Like, look how tiny that guy is in comparison to this thing. I could never go anywhere near a giant King Kong animatronic. I would cry. Like, I have megalophobia so bad, I can barely look at buildings. And I had a reoccurring nightmare when I was little of white gorillas chasing me, probably because I watched the movie Congo when I was 4. And this King Kong animatronic that was made for Madame Tussauds in London and New York. And here's the making of it, if you wanted to be even more traumatized. Here's them putting it together, ugh. And its lip twitches and stuff. It's so creepy. Here's it without its little nose, looking like Voldemort. Its teeth, for whatever reason, they didn't have to make it so hyper-realistic, did they? Like, look how small they are in comparison to this giant, I can't. Like, I showed this picture at the beginning, but like, imagine you're cleaning up and you work in this area of Madame Tussauds and you have to clean it at night and it's just there in the dark. I would cry!
Watch this video and let me know what you're thinking. Would you be able to go on this ride? Are you also megalophobic like me? Let me know. Megalophobia is a fear of giant objects, by the way, in case you didn't know.
This cannot be good.
Her mom performed an exorcism on her because she believed that she was possessed. 3-year-old Aurelie Proctor lived with her 25-year-old mom, Claudia Hernandez, in San Jose, California. Claudia believed that Aurelie was possessed because she would wake up in the middle of the night screaming and crying. Aurelie wouldn't stop, so this made Claudia believe that she was possessed somehow. On September 24th of 2021, around 6:30 a.m., Claudia and her brother drove Aurelie to a nearby church to help with her alleged possession. Claudia grabs Aurelie by the neck and the waist, trying to get her to throw up this evil spirit. Claudia's dad was the pastor of that church, and he ends up showing up to help them out. Claudia then puts her fingers down Aurelie's throat, and she ends up throwing up a clear/purple liquid. All of this went on for 12 hours, and just the day before, Aurelie was only given 6 ounces of water. Aurelie ended up passing away between 6 to 6:30 p.m. Once it was after 8 p.m., Claudia called 911 to report that her daughter had passed away. Once first responders arrived, they noticed that Aurelie had bruising around her eye, neck, and chest. At the time, no one was arrested because there wasn't enough evidence. A few days later, Claudia set up a GoFundMe to raise money for her daughter's burial. On January 27th of 2022, Claudia uploaded a YouTube video addressing the whole situation. She was not remorseful and basically said it is what it is. On January 31st, law enforcement were finally able to arrest and book Claudia into the Santa Clara County Jail because of that YouTube video, and on May 13th, her father and brother were arrested as well.
I still can't get over the fact that this woman was released from prison after she drugged her little sister, gave her to her husband so he can essay her and take her life. Paul Bernardo and Carla Jamalka were called the Barbie and Ken killers and committed one of the most horrific crimes together. They tortured, essayed, and took the lives of these 3 innocent young teens in the early 90s. 15-year-old Kristen French was one of their victims. She was abducted in a church parking lot while Carla pretended to ask her for directions. Paul forced her into their car. In another case, 14-year-old Leslie Mahaffey was abducted while she waited outside of her house. This was Carla's younger sister, Tammy, and one day Paul told Carla that he wanted her, so she drugged her sister and gave her to Paul to do whatever he wants with her. The girls were tortured for days and disgusting things were done to them while they videotaped everything. Together, they dismembered their bodies and then threw them in a lake. Now, while Paul got life in prison, Carla was able to walk free after 12 years. But not only that, after her release, she changed her name and she was caught working at a private elementary school in Montreal. Her job was to supervise kindergarten students, and when their parents found out, they were pissed off. And I don't blame them because I wouldn't want this person looking after my children either. This was one of the biggest cases in the world, especially in Canada, because of how disturbing their crimes were. People are still confused on how
You are going to hate this woman by the end of this video. This is Georgia Tan, and she is the most notorious child kidnapper in American history. She was responsible for trafficking over 5,000 children, and hardly anyone knows who she was. I just did a 2-part series on her for the Heart Starts Pounding podcast, and to show you how horrible she was, let me tell you a story. One night in Memphis in the 1940s, a woman gave birth. She was given a lot of anesthetics, so she was pretty out of it. But when she comes to, she sees that there's a woman standing in her room, and that woman is Georgia Tan. And she tells this woman that she's a social worker, and she's running this new program for new single mothers who need help, saying that she'll take the baby for a couple of days while the new mom gets back on her feet. And the new mom that hears this is thrilled because she needs as much help as she can get. So Georgia takes the baby, has the mom just sign some paperwork saying it's all okay, and then Georgia and the child are never seen again. And this was a huge part of her trafficking scheme because the paperwork they were signing was actually drafted by her father, who was a judge. And it rescinded all of their parental rights, but the moms didn't know that's what they were signing because they were still so out of it from the anesthetic. The children would then be put up for sale, and because these mothers were single and poor, oftentimes no one wanted to help them. I know it sounds like it's straight out of a horror movie, but a lot of people were affected by this. I mean, even Ric Flair was one of the trafficked children. There is a lot more to this story, and we go over all of it in the 2-part series that we just did for the Heart Starts Pounding podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.
1 in a Million, Part 2. Venus the cat became internet famous for having a face split perfectly down the middle. One side black with a green eye, the other side orange with a blue eye. She's a natural-born chimera, meaning her body contains the DNA of 2 separate embryos fused into one. In 2015, Massachusetts man Richard Knoll needed to break a $100 bill. So he went to a local convenience store and bought a couple of scratch-off tickets for the first time in his life just to get the change. It turned out to be one of the best off-the-cuff decisions of his life, since one of the tickets was the $10 million jackpot winner. In 2013, ABC News reporter Amy Roback had a mammogram taken live on TV to promote breast cancer awareness. It just so happened that she actually did have cancer, and the procedure likely saved her life. In 2013, a 39-year-old Brazilian woman named Adriana wanted to find her mother who abandoned her when she was a baby. So she went on a TV show and ended up finding her mom through the power of the internet. The two had an emotional reunion, but her mother revealed that she had also abandoned Adriana's infant brother, Leandro. In a shocking twist, Adriana's husband, whom she had a daughter with, turned out to be her biological brother, Leandro. But despite the pair being siblings, they vowed to never separate.
Annabelle the doll is currently on tour and buildings keep burning down around her. So if you don't know, Annabelle the doll is currently being toured around the United States on this Devils on the Run tour. The New England Society for Psychic Research is bringing her to all these haunted locations around the country so that people can get the chance to see her in real life. But people have noticed that wherever she goes, disaster strikes. For instance, the day after she left New Orleans, the largest antebellum South plantation, which is located in Louisiana, burned down with no hope of recovery. It's called the Nottoway Plantation, and it's just a horrible place. It was built in 1859 by enslaved people and held up to 150 enslaved people at a time. Also, a lot of the enslaved people that died while working the plantation were buried on the property. But recently, people noticed that it's been completely whitewashed. If you go on the website, there's nothing there that talks about the dark history of the place, and it's currently being used as a wedding venue. That is until Annabelle was there the other day and the whole thing burned down. Now, people have a bunch of different theories as to why this happened. I know the plantation itself has come forward and said that it was an electrical issue that caused the fire, but people have also mentioned that other historical buildings in New Orleans have caught fire after Annabelle left. So is it Annabelle or is it something else? She's not done on her tour. She has at least one more spot. She's going to Gettysburg, this orphanage, in July. So I guess we'll see if weird things keep happening around her.
Psychology facts that'll blow your mind. It takes 5 positive things to outweigh 1 negative thing. Our brains have something called negativity bias where we remember more of the bad things that happened than the good. That's why you remember when someone makes fun of your shoes, but you don't remember the compliment someone gave you earlier. And in order for your brain to balance these out, you usually need 5 positive things for 1 negative thing. We look for human faces in everything, even inanimate objects. This sensation is called pareidolia, and scientists think it happens because recognizing faces is so important in our social life that our brains would rather see one where it's not than miss a real face. Money can buy happiness, but only to a certain point. Researchers found a satiation point where earning more money won't make you any happier, and that was between $75,000 and $105,000. When one rule seems too strict, we want to break more. This is called reactance, and people, when they see their freedoms being taken away, will break more rules in order to try and regain their freedom than if the rule was less strict. Facts you'll wish you didn't know. There have been reports of vacuum toilets, which are commonly used on airplanes and cruise ships, sucking the rectum out of people. When a male lion takes over a pride of females, he'll usually try and kill all the cubs that aren't his own. If you've ever gotten red eyes after swimming because you had your eyes open in the water, it's not from chlorine. It's the chlorine mixing with urine. The claw machine game has a predetermined number of winners already set.
Here's 5 things our parents lied to us about. Cracking your knuckles will give you arthritis. This isn't true. The noise is caused by negative pressure temporarily pulling nitrogen gas into the joint. If you swallow gum, it will stay in your stomach for 7 years. This is not true. It will be excreted within a few days. Sitting too close to the TV will hurt your eyes. This is actually a very popular misconception. A long-term extensive study has shown that myopia in children has nothing to do with this. If you keep going cross-eyed, you'll get stuck like that forever. This is simply false. Your hair will grow faster the more often you cut it. This isn't true. There are a number of factors affecting it, such as age, hormones, and even the time of year.
He made tacos out of her brain. Alvaro and Maria had been married for about a year and were living in Mexico. Although they didn't have children together, Maria was a mother to 5 children from a previous marriage. Alvaro wasn't the best husband as he had an addiction to substances and he was very violent towards Maria's children and would even spy on them when they were taking a shower. On June 29th of 2023, Alvaro was under the influence when he took Maria's life. He dismembered her body and placed it in a plastic bag. Some of Maria's body parts were left at the home while others were left at a ravine. Alvaro ate part of Maria's brain in tacos and used her shattered skull as an ashtray. 2 days after he did this, he told Maria's daughter what he had did to her mom and to come collect her body parts. Maria's body was chopped up by using a machete, hammer, and a chisel. Once law enforcement was notified, they found a black magic altar during the investigation. Alvaro confessed everything and claimed that the devil made him do it. On July 2nd, Alvaro was arrested and he is currently awaiting trial.
You won't believe what happened to this man when his wife almost caught him cheating. 23-year-old Kevin Nascimento, also known as MC Kevin, was a Brazilian famous singer who got married in 2021 to Theolane Bezerra. But only 2 weeks after their wedding, Kevin and his friend made arrangements for them to meet this model named Bianca Dominguez in a hotel room. Apparently, Kevin was staying in room 1302 with his wife, but later made his way to room 502 to meet Bianca. And I'm sure you know what went down in that hotel room. So while this was going on, Kevin suddenly realized that his wife was looking for him. And in a panic, Kevin ran out onto the balcony and tried to climb his way into the balcony below him to hide from his wife. Unfortunately, Kevin slipped and fell 5 stories. He was found by staff and was rushed to the hospital, but on his way there, he passed away. I've never really been the one to believe in orbs, but someone explained this to me. Gabby Petito's family went to the location in Wyoming where her life was taken, and they all took a photo, and there was this thing that came up in the photo. Her family's convinced that that's her presence, and a lot of people also think the same thing. But I've never seen an orb that big. Others have had a different explanation for this, saying that it's the reflection of the sun with the lens and that's why it created this thing. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
What is the most disturbing boss fight from a non-horror game? This is my series where we talk about the creepiest bosses from games that were never meant to scare you. And today's entry is likely more disturbing than any of the ones we've covered so far. Today we're going to be talking about the final boss of Earthbound, Gigas. So obviously this thing is visually shocking and has creepy music to boot. But what exactly is Gigas? In the world of Earthbound, Gigas is an alien responsible for destroying the Earth as we know it. He becomes so unbelievably powerful that he has the capabilities of destroying the entire universe, and both his physical body and mind are completely destroyed in the process. Now, you battle him in the past before the Earth is destroyed, and just like Azathoth from the Lovecraft mythos, he's basically referred to as an idiot god. But really, it's the boss's inspiration that makes him so disturbing. In an interview, Itoy, the director of Earthbound, provided some details as to how Gigas was created. The idea came from a very traumatic experience in his childhood. As a kid in a movie theater, he accidentally walked into an adult film, and he described seeing this at a young age as a direct attack on his brain. That idea of lust and violence together inspired Gigas. The interview itself is really cool, and I encourage you to check it out because it goes into a lot more details than I can provide here.
This woman cooked herself alive. There was a woman who was always made fun of for being pale, so she decided to go to a tanning salon near her house. She tried to make an appointment for an hour, but the staff said for her own safety she could only tan for about 30 minutes. After the session, she looked in the mirror and realized her skin wasn't any darker. The next day, the woman attempted to make another 30-minute appointment, and the staff said she could only tan 2 times a week. After the second session finished, the woman again noticed her skin wasn't any darker and she wasn't satisfied. She then came up with a plan. Since she could only go there 2 times a week, she decided to make an appointment every day at different tanning salons. She then spent the next 4 days going from one tanning salon to another. But her skin still wasn't as dark as she wanted it, so she went and got the strongest tanning lotion she could find, and then covered her body in it and got into the tanning booth. The salon staff then smelled something burning in the air and discovered that the woman's tanning bed was on fire. The woman's black burnt corpse laid there dead. When the autopsy came back, it said, by combining tanning lotion and a tanning bed, the woman literally cooked herself alive.
Facts about your dog that you didn't know. Whenever your dog puts their paw on you like this, it's their way of showing that they love you and it's their way of petting you. Your dog actually knows your routine. If you have a pretty normal routine, your dog can tell when you're coming home based off of the amount of your scent left in the house. Even though your dog may look guilty, dogs cannot feel guilt. But on the flip side, dogs can feel jealousy. Anytime you're giving attention to another dog, treats, petting, your dog can feel jealous. When your dog is scooting his butt across the floor like this, he's not just trying to make you laugh. This is almost a sure sign of plugged or infected anal glands, which can collect fluid and can actually be drained manually, or they might be given something for it. Your dog is staring at you while they poop because they trust you and think you'll look out for them while they're vulnerable, while they're doing their business.
What is the most disturbing boss fight from a non-horror game? This is my series where we talk about the scariest things from games that were never meant to scare you. And today's entry comes from Echo the Dolphin? What in the Frutiger Arrow is this? Yes, the colorful, happy, underwater dolphin game for the Sega Genesis has a terrifying boss within it. Because if you manage to get to the end of the game, you see the Vortex Queen. No, but actually, what are we even doing here? This is a kid's game. It's a pitch black arena and you just stumble into it. Just for a second, imagine playing this as a kid and just running into this thing. I would honestly not be surprised if this segment alone gave gamers thalassophobia for life. Now here's a fun fact about the boss. One of its attacks is that it can swallow you up and eat you. But if that happens in the Japanese version, you play a secret stage called the Stomach to get back out and fight the boss again. Nothing else in the game though looks even remotely as scary as the Vortex Queen, so this thing is just a jump scare.
3 scary movies that were based on real stories, and the third one is absolutely insane. Scream just made yet another resurgence of the franchise as kind of the campy classic in the horror genre. But this whole franchise actually has some truth behind the original concept, as it was inspired by the Gainesville Ripper of Florida, who took the lives of 5 students seemingly for no motive other than just to gamify the killings. He even posed the bodies so that when others found them, it was horrifying. Child's Play is a movie that I would have never imagined to have had some truth behind it. But the original concept that inspired the script was actually based on Robert the Doll, which was gifted to a child in the early 1900s by a woman who practiced voodoo, and people claimed this doll could walk and talk on its own. Open Water is a nightmare concept of a couple that gets left behind on a boating tour in shark-infested waters. But this exact scenario did happen to a real-life couple who were also left in shark-infested waters.
Creepy facts that will disturb you. Emperor Nero profited off of human urine. He imposed a urine tax, charging merchants who sold pee. This is because human urine was a valuable and useful product back in ancient Rome. During mummification, ancient Egyptians removed the brain through one of the nostrils. This scary process is called exorcism. Ancient Egyptians were known to insert an iron hook through the body's nostril to draw out parts of the brain that they would then place in a jar. Figging is a practice wherein ginger root is inserted into the anus or vagina. In ancient Greece, slave owners used figging to discipline female slaves. They would skin a ginger root into a phallic shape, and the insertion causes an intense burning sensation and discomfort. The practice is mortifying, especially when it could last for an extended period of time.
This is what the animatronic from Adventures of Pinocchio, the Pinocchio, now looks like. If that isn't terrifying, I don't know what is. The video at the end is the reason that I'm scared of whales and have been since 1996. This video, I'm going to be completely unmasking my autism and talking about my absolute hyperfixation with Pinocchio. Like, I have this. It is the gaudiest necklace of all time. But I have carried around this little guy ever since I was 6 years old, and he is my favorite Pinocchio, okay? And here's a picture of me when I was 6 years old, hanging around with him. I have the Carlo Collodi novel right here of the original Pinocchio. I'm currently in the middle of playing the Lies of P DLC Overture, which takes place at an abandoned zoo. It is terrifying, but I love it. This is what the Monstro from Adventures of Pinocchio 1996 looks like, and that thing is terrifying. But like when people say like, oh, you're faking your reactions and you're actually obsessed with these things and you're not actually scared. No, I love scaring myself. Horror movies are my favorite genre ever. So I love watching things that scare me. I love like looking at abandoned places and things like that, even though it absolutely gutturally terrifies me. So Pinocchio terrifies me, but I love it. And yeah, that's what the animatronic now looks like. And here's what the inside of it looks like. I hate this. Also, if you like Pinocchio, you will absolutely love the movie AI Artificial Intelligence. This is in my top 10 movies of all time. It is like a robot Pinocchio, and it is a freaking masterpiece. Amazing movie. So watch this video and let me know what you're thinking. And can you understand why I'm scared of whales now? Because this is what traumatized me.